In order to cultivate your witness, you need to learn to observe your reactions in order to go beyond them. It is the going beyond that is the crux of the sacred quest. There are many ways that you can use the observation process. Here are a couple of them that are very important. The first is observing your body. This is one of the areas of being the witness that most of us have practiced somewhat. In general, we allow our body to function without interference. We are aware that there is the body and that there is a ghost in the machine, if you will. For as long as you can remember, you have been observing this phenomenon of a body. It is also true that you know that the entity that is doing the observing is removed in some dramatic way from that which it is witnessing. As you are listening to these words, you are allowing your body to act out its destiny without your meddling. You are not busy beating your heart or filling your lungs or oxygenating your blood supply or circulating your vital fluids. You allow your body to operate itself, and you allow another part of you to know the way of being the divine, quiet, non-interfering observer. This way has served you well. By just observing your body and detaching yourself from its functioning, it works as perfectly as it was ordained to. If you were constantly monitoring and attempting to control your bodily functions, you would be unduly attached to its outcome, and you would inhibit its natural functions. The times in your life when you worry or interfere with the natural functions of your body are the times when you find it breaking down. Feed your body the wrong foods and it will respond with lethargy and disease. Fail to exercise it and it will become overweight and groggy. Ignore its needs for fresh air and healthy environment and it will fall into disrepair. Feed it narcotic substances or artificial drugs and it will react with violent symptoms. When your body is in any state of disrepair, from being overweight to having back pains or nervousness or influenza or cancer or anything that is not the way of perfect health that your body knows at the cellular and genetic levels, then you are being called back to the position of loving witness. The second way of observing is called observing your mind. Your mind is filled with thousands of thoughts every day. They come and they go like trains in a terminal. One enters, another takes its place, one exits, and along comes another. First, you want to watch your thoughts. Then you want to watch yourself watching your thoughts. Here is the door to the inner space where, free from all thoughts, you experience the bliss and the freedom that transport you directly to your higher self. The simple exercise of watching your mind manufacturing its thoughts will eventually cause unwanted, unnecessary, erroneous thoughts to dissolve. In the process of cultivating the witness, you learn to quiet your mind, to take inventory, and dispose of or reassign thoughts that generate self-defeating or ego-centered responses. In this simple process, you also come to know your spiritual self. Ego-generated thoughts play a huge role in creating the world that the ego wishes to create. Each of my thoughts seem to demand it be considered the most important. Troubles begin with a thought that you put into your mind and allow to fester to the point of anxiety. The anxiety begins to manifest in your life in physically destructive ways, which we call things like arthritis, high blood pressure, and career cardiacs. The loving, non-judgmental energy received from the observer or the witness will allow these thoughts to flow in and out as naturally as the ocean tides. Tides in, tides out. Thoughts in, thoughts out. You will learn to be a witness to your thoughts in the same way that you observe the tide. And the process will cleanse and redistribute and remove thoughts in much the same way as the driftwood on the beach. What remains is generally quite pleasing. Witnessing your thoughts will take some practice. With proficiency comes wonder and delight. Trauma is dissolved in the thinking stage and prevented from manifesting into your everyday world. Begin to notice the noticer. As you take note of your worlds, both inner and outer, begin to familiarize yourself with the noticer who is behind that which is being noticed. If you do this several times each day, you will begin to see that you are much more than just a body and mind going through the program motions of your life. Your realization of your true self as the witness behind that which is being witnessed will bring you a new dimension of creativity and bliss. Try on this exercise. Think of something that has been bothering you for a long period of time. Now go to a quiet place and close your eyes. Just see the problem surfacing on the blank screen in your consciousness. Notice all aspects of the problem, what it looks like, when it shows up, what you feel when it is on your mind, the pain and the fear that you have when it is present, how you have dealt with it unsuccessfully in the past. Think of everything that you can which is related to the problem. Then, detach yourself in your mind from the problem. Just allow it to sit there on the screen of your mind. Look at it from the viewpoint of the compassionate witness who just non-judgmentally notices the screen. Watch it like a movie, allowing it to change in whatever way it does. Just observe it with loving permission for it to do whatever it wants to do. You will see it change and fade in and out of awareness. With each change or movement on the screen, remain in the caring witness mode of knowing the energy will do what it will and will also be accompanied by the loving energy from the witness. Often, just this act of observation will result in a feeling of the problem having dissipated. If that happens, observe that also from the position of caring observer. I once practiced this act of observation when I was injured and unable to play tennis. I reacted at first to the pain in my foot with statements like, "This injury is keeping me from doing what I want to do and I'm really upset about it." I found that no matter what I tried, the pain persisted, and I was unable to pivot and consequently had to discontinue an activity that I loved. I then took the witness stance. I no longer saw myself as having an injury. I attributed the pain only to my body and not to me. I witnessed the entire thing and merely watched it. I lovingly witnessed the pain, the way it showed up, my feelings of frustration about it, the color of the swelling, everything. But I refused to think of it as mine. It was only my body's problem. The very same day that I did this, the entire discomfort disappeared. I mean, it was gone from my body. I had put my attention on what was occurring and detached myself from it. And in what seemed like a few hours, I no longer had the pain and I was playing tennis as if I had never experienced any injury at all. In order to know the benefit of witnessing, you will have to banish the doubt about this as something that will work for you. Remember, you have been conditioned to believe that your body is the essence of your humanity. You've been taught to tackle problems with your physical and intellectual apparatus, not your higher self. Practice new self-talk sentences to replace your old identification with your physical body. I am that which owns this body. I am not the body itself. I can't be reached if you come to me with hatred or anger. I cannot worry when I refuse to be the worrier and simply observe that worrier and the worries. Self-talk sentences will keep you centered on your spiritual domain. You will find that many things that you worried about or experienced in a negative fashion are slowly beginning to diminish from your life. I watched television, and we have a generation of people who are being raised to believe that if you want to heal something, you have to take a pill. And we advertise it. I mean, it's just a constant inundation. Children are exposed to this stuff all day long, every single day. Every time you have the television on, watch all the advertising. Do you know this country and New Zealand are the only two countries in the world that allow advertising of prescription drugs on television? We've gone from a country where getting a prescription was a rare thing when I was growing up. I mean, going to the pharmacy, I mean, and getting a prescription, it was just a really rare thing to do. Now the average person has 7, 8, 9 different kinds of prescriptions that they're taking, and they're being advertised continuously. So it isn't so much that we're being exposed to the idea that we have to take drugs, we have to take, we have to buy this particular drug and that particular drug. What we're being conditioned to, and raising a whole generation of people, and I have a daughter who's in that mess internally in her head, is the belief system that you need something outside of you in order to be able to resolve whatever is going on within you. And, I've seen so many people who, when they change around the kinds of things that they eat, and when they begin to really exercise differently and change, that you start tossing away the prescriptions. You take more than 4 prescriptions, and you're taking 5 or 6 because the combination of the ones working within you is another prescription that you're taking as well. And the number of children, young people, the biggest cause of death amongst teenagers now is the overdose of prescription drugs, particularly pain pills. It's the consciousness that we are raising a generation of people to believe that healing has to take place by buying something at the store and at the drugstore and putting it into your body. When in fact, our body is a pharmacy. Deepak talks about this many times. We've given lectures together on this whole idea of the body is capable of producing whatever chemicals it needs for taking care of anything that shows up in your body. It knows how to do that if you just get out of the way of it. and just allow it to be the perfection that it is. And so we've become a country, in the United States particularly, where, the use of drugs for virtually every kind of thing, whether your leg is restless or whether you've got depression of some kind or whether,
It's this energy of knowing that healing is possible and that it's in every one of us. And that healing energy is something that all of us have. And that by putting your hands on or just convincing somebody or just letting them know that I have such a strong belief in you that you can be healed, that has a tendency to transcend the negativity that is the disease process. And that it isn't some magical faith-healing kind of thing at all. I mean, if you read the work of Bernie Siegel, and if you read Deepak Chopra, and you read Dean Ornish, and many of these people, medical people, who are talking about the mind-body connection, they're really talking about a strong sense of connecting to the chi, or the prana, which is just the energies. It's just another word for that energy, for that God force. And knowing that it's in you to be able to put along this current, this healing capacity. So this force, this healing energy, this invisible attraction that we want to use to bring something into our lives, is the same power that you have that allows you to process exactly what I'm saying right this minute. It's almost like you have to do a somersault into the unimaginable. You have to think of yourself as not only having a physical body, but as having an energy body as well. That this energy is assembled around you. And where it is assembled around you determines your agreement with reality. And in order to shift your agreement with reality, which is what I'm asking you to do in this program, to shift your agreement with a reality that says, I don't have this divine capacity. I can't tap into that energy. It's not within me. It's out there someplace. It is not me. And as you begin to tap into this, you learn how to shift this assemblage point of energy. And when you can shift that assemblage point somewhere in back of you, when you can just shift it, your perception shifts. There is nothing that separates you from that divine source except your belief that you are separate from it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Living creatively is how I describe existing with a conscious awareness of the presence of this feminine principle. This mysterious female is always birthing, and the Tao Te Ching speaks of the gateway to her as the root of creation. It's telling us that we have the ability to tap into this unlimited field and co-create, or as I've said, live creatively through the Tao. The never-dying formative energy is both our heritage and our destiny, functioning whether we're conscious of it or not. What awareness accomplishes through practicing the Tao is to let us participate in the process, which in turn leads us toward the wholeness that is our ultimate earthbound task. Although his writings are almost 3,000 years old, Lao Tzu is offering 21st century advice here with a message that's as timeless and never-ending as the Tao itself. Words may change, but be assured that the feminine energy can and will bring you to your own perfection. If you choose to be aware of the inherent creativity that resonates deep within you, where the invisible Tao sings the loudest, you'll assist the birthing of new ideas, new accomplishments, new projects, and new ways of understanding your life. In Deng Ming Dao's 365 Tao daily meditations, the divine feminine energy is equated with the sound of birds soaring and gliding over a vast landscape. Quote, "You can feel this in your life. Events will take on a perfect momentum, a glorious cadence. You can feel it in your body. The energy will rise up in you in a thrilling crescendo, setting your very nerves aglow. You can feel it in your spirit. You will enter a state of such perfect grace that you will resound over the landscape of reality like an ephemeral bird song. When Tao comes to you in this way, ride it for all that you are worth. Don't interfere. Don't stop. Don't try to direct it. Let it flow and follow it as long as the song lasts. Follow. Just follow. End quote. Here are some thoughts for living creatively. First, know that you are a divine creation birthed not by your parents, but by the great spiritual divine mother, the Tao. When you're in touch with the energy of your origin, you offer the world your authentic intelligence and talents and behaviors. You're co-creating with the you that originated in the Tao and the very measure of your essence. The Tao is not confused about what to create and how to go about it, as this is your legacy from the mysterious feminine. Listen to your inner callings. Ignore how others might want to direct your life energies, and allow yourself to radiate outward what you feel so profoundly and deeply within yourself. There is a reservoir of talent, ability, and intelligence inside of you that's as endless and inexhaustible as the Tao itself. It must be that way because you are what you came from, and where you came from is this all-encompassing, endlessly creative Divine Mother, the mysterious feminine of the Tao. Whatever you feel within you as your calling, whatever makes you feel alive, know in your heart that this excitement is all the evidence you need to have your inner passion become reality. This is precisely how creation works, and it's that energy that harmonizes with the Tao. And secondly, be creative in your thoughts, in your feelings, and in all of your actions. Apply your own uniqueness to everything you undertake. Whatever you feel compelled to do, be it write music, design software, do floral arrangements, clean teeth, or drive a taxi, do it with your unique flair. Being creative means trusting your inner callings, ignoring criticism or judgment, and releasing resistance to your natural talents. Without fail, she reveals her presence. Without fail, she brings us to our own perfection. Then choose to let go of the doubt and fear you've harbored within you regarding your capacity to harmonize with the creative power, a power that's not only greater than your individual life, but is life itself. As the great 14th century Sufi poet Hafiz reminds all of us, quote, "Just sit there right now. Don't do a thing. Just rest. For your separation from God, from love, is the hardest work in this world." Unquote. When you reconnect to your Divine Mother, you'll be living creatively. You will, in fact, be living the Tao. Do the Tao now. Today, notice babies and small children. Look for the mysterious feminine nature in little boys and girls who haven't yet become so attuned to cultural and societal demands that their true selves are hidden. Can you see some whose inherent nature is intact? Notice what seems to be their natural character or their gift from the Tao. Then try to recall yourself as a child when the natural, Tao-given self was unaware of the ego self, the time before you believed that acquisitions or power were important. Who were you? Who are you now? Yes, today, spend a few moments with a young child and contemplate his or her connection to the Tao and how it unfolds perfectly without any interference.
This idea of ignoring what the senses tell us, because we go through our days, we go through our life, and we pay attention to what we see and what we touch and what we feel and what we smell, and that becomes our reality, and we think that that's the only reality that there is. If I can touch it, if I can see it, if I can grab a hold of it, I can smell it, then that makes it real. And if I can't, then it's unreal. And what this is really about is understanding the power of our imagination, so that when we put an let's just say you've got you've got a cold or you've got a flu or something like that, and if you're putting into your imagination, I am well, I am perfect health, I am well, but you watch your nose and it sneezes and it's running, and you got a fever, and you're tired and all of that. The concept of being able to say I am well and living from that place in your imagination, it's so foreign to us because we're just so convinced that what our senses tell us is the only reality that there is. And what this is really all about is being able to live from the end and put it into your imagination, and regardless of what your senses tell you, regardless of what it says on the internet, regardless of what information is people are sending to you, regardless of what it says on TV or articles that you read or whatever it is, whatever I am you would like to have, including I am prosperous, I am abundant, and you look at your bank book and you say there's nothing in it, and and I've got bills, and how can I go around saying I am prosperous when these are all the, but it's being able to place into your imagination that I am realizing that the words I am really are the name of God, and to say I am prosperous rather than I will be, because to say I will be prosperous or I will be healthy means to say that I don't have that now, and I don't, and it's something that maybe will come in the future. And until you can assume a feeling of something in your imagination and just live with it, regardless of what all of the other physical evidence says, because basically what we learn is that the physical world is just an illusion, that it's what's in our imagination that is the real, the real truth. And that's just such a hard one for all of us, including me.
It really is.
Yeah, but I've been practicing it, and I've done it so many times in my life. Being able to say I always give the example of when I'm writing a book, I have the jacket of the book already made in advance, long before I ever write the first word, and I wrap it around another book, and it's right in my writing space. And every day I already say that this is already complete, because I'm looking at it. So all I have to do now is just allow it to all flow through me, and that's getting into that place of allowing and beginning to forget about, what the physical world is, what all of your past experience has told you, what your whole history has told you, letting go of all of that, and to be able to say, I am well, I am happy, I am content. In the Bible, in the book of Joel, there's a wonderful line that says, let the weak man say, I am strong. And being able to say it and feel it and know it, and then you begin to align with the universal force that brings it into being. So it's the power of our thoughts and the power of our imagination that I really want to have people begin to see what they can do with it.
There are two kinds of attention, according to Neville: subjective attention and objective attention. Subjective attention is different from objective attention. You want to use subjective attention, not objective attention. Neville says there's an enormous difference between attention directed objectively and attention directed subjectively. And the capacity to change your future depends on the latter. Whatever you have placed into your imagination, you always go to your reality and call that which does not exist as if it did. I am, and I have a rule about it. It's don't complain and don't explain. You don't have to explain what you have placed into your imagination. It is totally yours. One of my great teachers in my life in my early doctoral years was Dr. Abraham Maslow. He said, become independent of the good opinion of other people. Trust yourself. Subjective attentions, you, and only you, capital Y-O-U, are the subject that impacts the burning desire in your imagination. You are living and feeling as if your future dreams are a present fact.
Love is the feeling you must learn to assume. Subconscious mind is really a piece of the one mind, and you and I are living in that mind. This universal subconscious mind is the first cause and the stuff from which all things are made. This thingless thing is really love. When you feel it, truly feel it within as your private inner awareness regarding what you would like to manifest, you gain the power of creation. Recall what St. Francis of Assisi said in one line of his famous prayer, Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. You are asking in this prayer to have the feeling of the wish fulfilled. When you experience anger, frustration, fear, doubt, worry, stress, and so on, ramp up your love and immerse those negative feelings in a container of pure love. Simply choose to feel good, because every moment of offering love
brings your little sliver of subconscious mind into harmony with the all-creating one universal subconscious mind that is defined as love. I trust I've awakened with you the awareness that your feelings play a huge role in your becoming a God-realized, manifesting being. Neville states this very clearly, quote, "Denying the evidence of the senses and appropriating the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the way to the realization of your desire," unquote. Apply his wisdom beginning now. It will serve you in ways that you may never have imagined in common hours. And remember that picturing the future without assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled is nothing but futile daydreaming. Practice feeling a thought that you have inserted into your imagination. Remember that a feeling is what you feel in your body as you contemplate what it is you wish to manifest or who you would like to become. Close your eyes and experience what that feels like in your body. Work with sensations that are not only your experience of what you are imagining in your body, but are triggers that assist you in moving from a thought to a hardened physical reality. Whatever feelings you are attempting to notice in your body regarding your wishes or desire, bathe it in love, the synonym for God. Imagine what you want. Imagine and feel that love as if you were now in possession of it. Continue doing this using love until your desire actually belongs to you. During this process, remind yourself that the more love, that is, the more God you offer, the sooner desire becomes reality. Look into your mirror fearlessly, saying, "I not only love you, I am love." Acquaint yourself with the subconscious mind. Your piece of subconscious mind acts on what you program into it so that it becomes your automatic mind acting habitually. Decide on a habit that you would like to be automatic. Being generous, for example. Tell yourself, "I am a generous person." Give something away in a spirit of generosity, even if it's only a small coin or a word of encouragement. The more thoughts and actions you practice around your new I am, the more the subconscious mind will react in kind, until eventually it will act in generous ways out of a new habit that you've created. The subconscious mind responds to suggestions. You can reprogram your subconscious mind so that it goes on its accustomed role of autopilot with mental and feeling images from yourself. Talk to this automatically receptive component of yourself, telling it that you are unlimited and that you believe all things are possible. Fill it with images of you being all that you dare to become. Go to a quiet place and feel in your body what it would feel like were those thoughts in your imagination your present reality. The subconscious mind possesses the power to manifest physical reality from thoughts. Every object and circumstance in this world is representative of a mental thought. All that now exists was once imagined. Such is the power of the subconscious mind. But in order to partake of this incredible powerhouse of creation that you are, you must be able and willing to experience within yourself, in your mind, that which you wish to manifest. Thoughts become things when you feel them and are able to impress them upon the subconscious mind, which will then just take over. Here's how Neville describes this phenomenon. This substance is consciousness. It is your imagination which forms this substance into concepts, which concepts are then manifested as circumstances and physical objects. Thus, imagination made your world, unquote. And then his take on the importance of feelings in programming the subconscious mind. He says, quote, "The reality of your assumption has its being in complete independence of objective fact and will clothe itself in flesh if you persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. When you know that assumptions, if persisted in, harden into facts, then events which seem to the uninitiated mere accidents will be understood by you to be the logical and inevitable effects of your assumption. You have the power to impress upon the subconscious mind any I am of your choosing."
So many people ask the question when they want to live a life of meaning, how can I do it when I'm around so many people who are operating at lower levels? You've missed the point. if you're asking yourself that question. If you're living with somebody, a spouse, for example, family members, people that you work with, neighbors and so on, who are living at lower levels of energy than you cannot be dragged down by their low energy. That's not possible. That's not how the universe works. The reason that you feel dragged down is because you join them in their energy. You become within yourself what they are. In other words, the sentence, "You make me angry, you make me depressed by your behavior," really says that I see your depression, I see your anger, I see your hatred, I see your prejudice, and I'll have some of that too, and I'll hate you for hating me. And I'll be angry at you for being angry at me. Or being around you so depresses me because you're so depressing that you cause me to be depressed. That isn't the case at all. It's because that person's depression is something you decide you'll align with. Now, if you take the reverse, if you take Jesus, who would walk amongst the prostitutes and would walk amongst the thieves, he didn't say, "I know, I'm not going to go over there and talk to those thieves. They took my sandals the last time. I'm not having that happen to me again. It's not, and I don't want to be around those hookers because, they're going to be tempting," and so on. He didn't do that. When he would walk among the thieves would no longer want to steal. Don't you remember on Golgotha? At the crucifixion? He was between two thieves. Both of them were redeemed by being in his presence. Even the least among you can do all that I have done, and even greater. That's where you have to be. You have to be in a place, and remember that no amount of your depression is going to undepress somebody else. See, mothers know this. I watch this with the mother of my children, Marcy, a woman I love very, very much. And I would watch her in the middle of the night. I would be laying over here and she'd be here and the baby would cry. And instead of her saying, like so many people speak about, that crying really just upsets me and it really upsets her. Why do you keep crying? It's like, you're just doing it. You're upsetting me. You're making me upset. She didn't do any of that. She didn't say that babies crying would make me depressed. What she would say is, I will bring my high energy of love and healing and feeding to you, and this will help you to raise your level of happiness. And it always worked. For me, a surly waiter is a wonderful challenge. My kids will tell you that. If I get somebody in there and you can tell that they're in a hurry, they're not going to be a little bit rude, they've been rushed and all of that, I know I can turn this person around. And I'll even make it a contest. Say, just watch. It's going to happen. I'm going to get this person turned around. And all you have to do is say to them, I know you're having a tough time tonight, and you probably didn't want to have any more, but I said, you are so lucky tonight. You got somebody who came here to make your life as good as I can possibly make it tonight. Is there anything I can do to make this waiting experience happy for you? What's your name? Where'd you come from? You have an accent? What is it like where you live? And within minutes of just elevating my awareness and being happy and letting them know that this is going to be a pleasant experience for them. And I do this, before you know it, they're bringing you free desserts. We don't have to pay for anything. Here's a complimentary pass. Come the next time. By the way, my mother works over at this place. Would you like to get a massage? Those kinds of things happen all the time. When you get your ego out of the way, when you dissolve your connection to this gross worldly world of conflict, and begin to just say, I can turn this around. The lady who cleans the toilets. Now, to me, anybody who in my life cleans toilets for me and changes my bedding and makes my room nice, that's an angel. That's not somebody that I deserve to disrespect. That's an angel who's come in and willing to serve me and work for very little. That's always, for me, that's $100. I seek her out and I just say, I just appreciate you. And I do this before I go to sleep. I do this before I even take the room. And it's just, a $100 bill to me is a piece of paper. For her, and it isn't even what it does for her financially. It's like, what you do is you take people that, she looked surly, she looked angry, she looked like she didn't want to be in there, she looked like just another like white Howley in here, who's I've got to deal with. She was a lady from Mexico, and she just looked like she didn't. And when I just took her over and I put my arm around her, I said, you know what? I am so happy that you are here to help and serve me, and I just want to express my gratitude to you. You can take every incident of people who are operating at levels that you know keep them tied and connected to the gross worldly realm, and you can shift it. You can shift it. Because you practice a life of meaning is one in which you elevate your awareness to such a place that no matter who enters this realm, if they don't come with love, they don't get in. They don't get in. Inside of this shell of a body, this shell, this thing that I live in, inside here is my inner organs. And inside of those organs is an invisible intelligence. And inside there, in this little chamber inside of me, there's a sign that says, do not enter unless you come with love. So you can insult my body. You can be angry. You can even do things to my insides. But in here, where I live, do not attempt to enter unless you come with love. That's all I have in there. And you can do this. He presents this in Power versus Force. That seems to bring it all home very clearly. Let's attempt to understand all of this through an example. Imagine a bum on a street corner in a fashionable neighborhood. Can you get a picture of that? Bum, street corner, fashionable neighborhood. In a fashionable neighborhood in a big city stands an old man in tattered clothes, alone, leaning against the corner of an elegant brownstone. Look at him from the perspective of various levels of consciousness and note the differences in how he appears. From the bottom of the scale, at a level of 20, the level of shame, this bum is dirty, disgusting, and disgraceful. And that's how you view him, and you know people who do. And you may know yourself as having done that at one time. From the level of 30, which is guilt, he would be blamed for his condition. He deserves what he gets. He's probably a lazy welfare cheat. At 50, hopelessness, his plight would appear desperate, damning evidence that society can't do anything about homelessness. At 75, grief, the old man looks tragic, friendless, and forlorn. At a consciousness level of 100, fear, we might see him as threatening, a social menace. Perhaps we could call the police before he commits some crime. At 125, desire, he might represent a frustrating problem. Why doesn't somebody do something? At 150, anger, the old man might look like he could be violent. Or on the other hand, you might become furious that such conditions exist in the first place. At 175, we're still at levels that still weaken you. Pride. He could be seen as an embarrassment or as lacking the self-respect to better himself. And at 200, courage. Now we're at the distinction between truth and falsehood and that which empowers rather than weakens. We're at power rather than force. At 200, we might be motivated to wonder if there's a local homeless shelter. All he needs is a job and a place to live. At 250, neutrality, the bum looks okay. Maybe even interesting. Live and let live, we might say. After all, he's not hurting anyone. At 310, willingness, we might decide to go down and see what we can do to cheer this fellow up. Or volunteer some time, perhaps, at a local mission. At 350, acceptance, the man on the corner appears intriguing. He probably has an interesting story to tell. He's where he is for reasons we may never understand. At 400, reason, he's a symptom of the current economic and social malaise, or perhaps a good subject for in-depth psychological study. Now we move to the higher levels. At the higher levels, the old man begins to look not only interesting, but friendly, then lovable, perhaps we would then be able to see that he was, in fact, one who had transcended social limits and gone free. Maybe a joyful old guy with the wisdom of age in his face and the serenity that comes from indifference to material things. At 600, peace, the highest level any of us will ever attain here, he is revealed as one's own self in a temporary condition. Can you see the difference? Can you see the distinctions between how we look at things? A simple bum standing on a corner and all of the attendant ways that we have of processing it, some of which will weaken us individually and collectively, and some of which will empower us individually and collectively.
There's nothing natural about living a life filled with stress and anxiety, having feelings of despair and depression, and needing pills to tranquilize yourself. Agitated thoughts that produce high blood pressure, a nervous stomach, persistent feelings of discomfort, an inability to relax or sleep, and frequent displays of displeasure and outrage are violating your natural state. Believe it or not, you have the power to create the naturally stress-free and tranquil life you desire. You can utilize this power to attract frustration or joy, anxiety or peace. When you're in harmony with the 7 faces of intention, you can access and pull from the source of all in order to fulfill your intention of being stress-free and tranquil. So if it's natural to have feelings of well-being, why is it that we seem to experience so much unwellness and tension? The answer to this question provides you with the key that leads to the peaceful life you desire. Stress is a desire of the ego. We speak of stress as if it were present in the world as something that attacks us. We say things like, I'm having an anxiety attack, as if anxiety is a combatant. But the stress in your body is rarely the result of external forces or entities attacking you. It's the result of the weakened connecting link to intention caused by your belief that ego is who you are. You are peace and joy, but you've allowed your ego to dominate your life. The following lighthearted way to stop taking yourself so seriously is from a book by Rosamund and Benjamin Zander. He's the conductor of the Boston Philharmonic Orchestra, titled The Art of Possibility. It illustrates in a delightful way how we allow ego to create many of the problems we encounter that we label stress and anxiety. It's called Rule Number 6. I'll share it with you. 2 prime ministers are sitting in a room discussing affairs of state. Suddenly a man bursts in, apoplectic with fury, shouting and stamping and banging his fist on the desk. The resident prime minister admonishes him. Peter, he says, kindly remember Rule Number 6. Whereupon Peter is instantly restored to complete calm, apologizes and withdraws. The politicians return to their conversation only to be interrupted yet again 20 minutes later by an hysterical woman gesticulating wildly, her hair flying. Again, the intruder is greeted with the words, Marie, please remember Rule Number 6. Complete calm descends once more, and she, too, withdraws with a bow and an apology. When the scene is repeated for a 3rd time, the visiting prime minister addresses his colleague. My dear friend, he says, I've seen many things in my life, but never anything as remarkable as this. Would you be willing to share with me the secret of Rule Number 6? Very simply, replies the resident prime minister. Rule Number 6 is, don't take yourself so damn seriously. Ah, says his visitor, that's a fine rule. After a moment of pondering, he inquires, and what, may I ask, are the other rules? Oh, there aren't any. As you encounter stress, pressure, or anxiety in your life, remember Rule Number 6. At the moment you realize you're thinking stressful thoughts. By noticing and discontinuing the inner dialogue that causes stress, you may be able to prevent its physical symptoms. What are the inner thoughts that produce stress? I'm more important than those around me. My expectations aren't being met. I shouldn't have to wait. I'm too important. I'm the customer here, and I demand attention. No one else has these pressures. All of these above, along with a potentially endless inventory of Rule Number 6 thoughts, are from the ego's bag of tricks. You aren't your work, your accomplishments, your possessions, your home, your family, your anything. You're an aspect of the power of intention, dressed in a physical human body, intended to experience and enjoy life on earth. This is the intention that you want to bring to the presence of stress. You must become conscious of the need to activate thought responses that match your intention.
These new responses will become habitual and replace your old habit of responding in stress-producing ways. When you examine segments of stress-producing incidents, you always have a choice. Do I stay with thoughts that produce stress within me, or do I work to activate thoughts that make stress impossible? Here's another easy tool that will help you to replace the habit of choosing anxiety and stress. I call them 5 magic words. Here they are. I want to feel good. I want to feel good. Your intention here is to be tranquil and stress-free. When you feel good, you're connected to your intentions, regardless of what goes on around you or what others expect you to feel. Many events will transpire in which your conditioned response is to feel bad. Be aware of these outer incidents and say the 5 magic words. I want to feel good. In that precise moment, ask yourself if feeling bad is going to make the situation any better. You'll discover that the only thing that feeling bad accomplishes in response to outer situations is to plummet you into anxiety, despair, depression, and of course, stress. Instead, ask yourself in that moment what thought you can have that will make you feel good. When you discover that it's responding with kindness and love to the bad feeling, which is quite different from wallowing around in it, you'll begin experiencing a shift in your emotional state. Now you're in vibrational harmony with your source, since the power of intention knows only peace, kindness, and love. I assure you that your decision to feel good is a way of connecting to spirit. It isn't an indifferent response to events. By feeling good, you become an instrument of peace, and it's through this channel that you eradicate problems. By feeling bad, you stay in the energy field that creates resistance to positive change and experience a stressful, anxious state as a byproduct. The things you call problems will perpetually present themselves to you. They'll never go away. Resolve one, and another one will surface. You'll never get it done. I urge you to simply accept the fact that you'll never get it all done and begin to live more fully in the only moment that you have, which is now. The secret to removing the harmful effects of feeling stressed and under pressure is to be in the now. Announce out loud to yourself and all who are willing to listen to you, I'm an incomplete being. I'll always be incomplete because I can never get it done. Therefore, I choose to feel good while I'm in the moment, attracting into my life the manifestations of my desires. I am complete in my incompleteness. All resistance melts away when you can feel complete in your incompleteness.
I wake up every night around 3 o'clock in the morning. And there was a great poet, his name was Rumi, many, many years ago. He said, the morning breeze has secrets to tell you. Do not go back to sleep. Do not go back to sleep. Do not go back to sleep. And many of the books that I've written when I've been awakened, and there's something, what is it? What is it that awakens me? It's like I can almost tell you the exact time. It's like, because in a film I did years ago called The Shift, they show a clock, it's 3:13 a.m., almost to the second. Every single night, there's something. Is that angels? Is that divine source? Is that someone saying, this is your purpose, this is the time, there's no distractions?
The thing we most want to say is that we're with you saying that all the time. Mm-hmm. So what's interesting to us is that that's the time that you decide to listen.
Right. But there's nobody else around to distract me.
And that's the important conversation to have. So what is it about that time? What is it that's happening there that makes you more resonant, that makes you more receptive? And it is that the momentum of your thought has stopped. So there is no contradictory vibration going on within you. So you're more likely to hear. The way we've been defining that most recently is that when you wake up in the morning, you have the potential of being in that highest frequency, because while you slumber, your point of attraction, the momentum of your point of attraction stops. So when you first wake up, before you begin thinking thoughts of what went wrong yesterday or what you have to do today, you're in your greatest potential of that pure positive energy. So if you can focus there and allow a little momentum to get going, what happens is it isn't something that just happens, it's something that you focus yourself into being. But when you focus yourself into that, you tune in, is the best way of describing it. You tune in to that source energy consciousness who has always been aware of everything you're doing, but there's a big difference when you tune into it and you consciously are aware of it. In other words, Source is there for everyone all the time. We don't need to talk you into that. We're always there. But when you know it, when you're not doing that thing you do that is preventing you from knowing that, that's when you have those wonderful moments. And you can do that all the time. So sometimes you have beliefs that do not serve you. But when you first awaken, those beliefs are quiet enough that you can find a fresh one that comes from Source, that is about who you really are and what you really know.
Is the reverse of that if you awaken and you have a very positive thought? That is, I'm going to heal myself.
Well, that's a wonderful thing. Once you get that momentum going, but if we were standing in your physical shoes, if the thought felt good, we'd think it. We'd think more about it. We'd talk about it. We'd write it down. We would discuss it with others. We would deliberately encourage that momentum. But if it's an uneasy thought, if it feels uncomfortable, then we would do our best to generalize it. The more specific you become in a thought, the more momentum. The more general you become in a thought, the slower the momentum.
Can you have a thought, like I talk a lot about the I am discourses, I am as the name of Source, another name for Source. If you are feeling weak, but you have a thought saying, I am strong, I mean, that's one of the lines from the book of Joel, let the weak man say, I am strong. If you continuously say, I am strong, or I am well, or I am healed, or I am wealthy, or I am positive, or I'm
It makes
loving.
sense. It makes sense, but there is a effort factor, a backfiring factor that sometimes every subject is really two subjects, wanted and absence of it. So if you are feeling not strong and you say, I am strong, which end of the stick are you activating? And what we've noticed is the more effort you are applying, usually you're trying to overcome what you've really got going on vibrationally with words. And instead of it working the way you want it to, it works in reverse, because when you're trying really hard, it's an indicator that you're trying to use your words and your actions and your affirmations to compensate for vibration that you didn't get started off on the right foot. We think affirmations are wonderful, but we would make sure that we are feeling really good when we affirm, because the universe doesn't hear what you say. The universe hears what you mean.
I wrote a book years ago called Inspiration, using the two words inspire, inspirado, inspire, in spirit. And there was a great teacher on this planet a couple of thousand years ago named Patanjali, and he said, when you are inspired by some great purpose, some extraordinary project, that all of your thoughts break their bonds, your mind transcends limitations, your consciousness expands in every direction, and you find yourself in a new and a great and a wonderful world.
Perfect.
And then he said, dormant forces, when you're inspired, dormant forces, faculties, and talents come alive. And you discover yourself to be a greater person by far than you've ever dreamt yourself to be. It's almost as if you discover yourself to be God or Source or the Tao or Divine Mind or whatever name we place on this source energy that you speak of and speak to us from.